Okay, hello, hello. So I guess kind of just to start off, I'd like to kind of get introductions from you guys. If you want to give us a little bit about, the companies behind the Helium network.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Anne. I work for Bobcat. So I guess, do all of you know who's Bobcat? Okay, great, perfect. So, okay, it's a little bit redundant, but we have so far shipped 370,000 Bobcat miners since the company was founded in March last year. And I joined the company very early on, basically at the very beginning. So, of course, the mothership is in China. We have our factories, we have our operations and tier one support over there. And then when it first started in the US, there was just one person. But then now, I think after 15 months, in North America plus Europe, we have around 15 people over here. So basically, kind of focusing on product and engineering. And actually, a little bit less than half of the team over here are actually from the community. So we have like support engineers and also marketing people that just already know Helium or were our customers, and then they trusted us enough to become part of the team. Yeah.
Hey everybody, I'm TJ. I'm the president and co-founder at CalChip Connect. We are an IoT LoRaWAN CBRS focused distributor in the space. We're headquartered out of Warminster, Pennsylvania, which is just a little bit north of Philadelphia. We were the first distributor for the Helium network, and today we've got multiple hotspots, CBRS products, and LoRaWAN-based Helium solutions available for the community. We also do service enterprises, small, medium businesses in the private space.
Right. Hello, everyone. I'm Jose Marcelino. I work for RAKwireless, one of the first makers on the Helium ecosystem. RAK comes from a history of making LoRa hardware. So we started in 2016. I joined officially the company 2 years ago, but I've been kind of part of the company since the very first LoRa gateway they made. Now we've launched Minted. You might be familiar with that. It's a brand that's very consumer focused and is dedicated to the crypto market. As well as the gateways we make and the hotspots, we also produce some IoT devices for makers, so people who want to create sensors for the network as well.
Thanks. So I feel like everybody that I talk to has like a story about how they got into Helium. So do you guys have a story about how you got into Helium? Or like a funny way?
Well, I'll go ahead and jump in. So most of my background for the last 10 years has been strictly in the IoT space. And when I started CalChip Connect, for the first 6 months, I knew nothing about blockchain, cryptocurrency. And then we were fortunate enough to get introduced to the Helium crew and learn about this really cool, innovative technology and network that Helium's bringing to the market. So overall, super thrilled that we got introduced into this space, and it's a very exciting, innovative space because if you look at historically companies that want to deploy hardware and want to deploy infrastructure, they have to spend CapEx, and quite often it can be millions of dollars. Helium solves a major problem in the ecosystem, which is giving people, giving companies the ability to get incentivized based on building a network and putting solutions on that network. So.
Yeah, so I got interested. So I was already in the LoRa space, and I got interested in Helium when I saw their formula. So I was working with some early LoRa community networks before, and the big problem was how to reward people to running them. So most people were kind of trying to join the network. They tried it for a few days, and then they just put it in their drawer and never to be seen again. So Helium did solve that. But a funny story that when I saw it initially, like in 2019, they weren't actually supporting LoRaWAN, so they were like going proprietary and stuff like that. So I wasn't really seeing how it worked. But only a few months later, they announced they are going to support LoRaWAN. And that told me that this company is kind of built differently because no other network actually does this kind of when 180 changes in so quickly. I mean, they had their software stack, their business stack all done, and they saw that they needed to do this, and they did it. And I think that's what makes Helium really powerful.
Well, when I started at Bobcat, I didn't really know anything about crypto, but I knew a little bit about LoRa because I used to work at a LoRa startup. And my job at the time was basically to find sensors and gateways. So basically, I was kind of building a device catalog where I just find as many LoRaWAN sensors and gateways as possible. So with that company, I actually traveled to a lot of trade shows like Mobile World Congress, CES, and the TDN trade shows, the LoRa Alliance. So I was able to actually really touch all of these sensors and gateways and the mouse traps and everything. And it's like really, really wonderful because I learned a lot of things about LoRa. So these things were called gateways, not miners at the time. And then when I first found out about Helium, I think it was early 2021, and it blew my mind. And my heart was pumping for like really hard for a long time because I couldn't believe just like with really, there are 10,000 gateways and this is what they're doing. It was just really amazing. I think before Helium, just kind of in the LoRa world, TTN was very successful, especially in terms of building a community, because in Europe, it's quite compact. And once you have gateways set up, you can really kind of have a network. But in the US at the time, LoRaWAN was just, it's hard to kind of have like a complete network because it's so spread out. And then with Helium, it just blew my mind, and it is continuing to blow my mind. And like this is like why it's so very exciting, and it's just yeah, I get really excited talking about it. Yeah,
speechless, literally. Now, CalChip has been in this space for longer, whereas Bobcat and RAK are a little bit more newer. Have you seen any kind of specific changes that have happened in this space? Anything significant?
Yeah, so I guess if you look back over the last 35 years, there's been some significant changes just in reducing in complexity within semiconductors, right? Adding transistors, being able to add more transistors into silicon, which in turn allows us to create smaller products, reduce form factors. We've got, a large movement of compute going into the cloud now, which is giving us the ability to build devices that are lower cost because you can run lower processing power MCUs on types of products. And then ultimately, again, I'm going to go back to this, like what the Helium network has brought to this space is this new concept of, building a network, getting incentivized, but also the incorporation of blockchain, which adds additional security layers and other things into the space.
Now, this is the topic is from factory to floor. So I imagine it's kind of similar for all manufacturers, but could you kind of give like an overview of, what is the full process for those that are unfamiliar with it? Everybody can jump in.
Sure. This is the fun stuff.
Get to the interesting part.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's, when we start thinking about how a product gets developed, what's incorporated into a product, how it gets to a customer, and all the different steps in between, there's quite a few of them. To break it down and kind of create a couple high-level processes. So when you look at this product, the Freedom Fi Gateway, you'll see there's a black enclosure around it. Inside this gateway is what's called a PCBA, and this is a board that has a bunch of little semiconductors on it. So they're little ICs that basically run all the compute and actually make this thing work. So when we think about supply chain, the first step is always the semiconductors. So all the different ICs that need to go in this box to actually make it work. And those are typically provided by companies like Texas Instruments, Scilabs, Analog Devices, etc. You take the next step after semiconductor, and you really get into product design and manufacturing. And this is what Bobcat and RAK are really good at. So basically, you have to take the ICs, you have to develop the board, You have to build the prototypes, and this is very complex, and it takes quite a bit of time to do and do it right. And then you end up with a product, right, that's been tested and it's ready to get out into the field. Well, to get it out into the field and get it into customers' hands, you need to have the ability to import the product from wherever it's built. So if it's built in Taiwan, as an example, and you're trying to ship to a customer in the US, you have to import that product into the US. So you move into logistics now, where you need to talk about import tariff cost to bring product into certain regions. You have to warehouse the product. You have to create the right packaging and customer experience for that product so that it's successful when it gets into the customer's hands. And then ultimately, you have to be able to ship it to the customer and provide customer support. And so when you think about, all of these different steps, and I won't get farther into the weeds, but those are like the high-level processes that go into really creating the products we're seeing today on the Helium network. And the different great partners working to design and develop these types of products for the market. And then, you talk about logistics, supply chain, customer support, which is just as critical to deliver the customer experiences we need to make the network successful.
Do either one of you have anything to kind of like add on that? I feel like you kind of covered that pretty thoroughly. So kind of building off of that, I'm pretty sure everybody in this room is aware that there is a component shortage and that, that has escalated lead times. What are some of the challenges that your companies have faced over the last years and kind of your team's strategy to kind of overcome them?
Maybe I'll take it for the team. I'll start. So maybe I'll just talk about the recent situation, because I know we all get tired of kind of using the same, either you call it reason or excuse, like it's we all get tired of it. But I think the recent development is the COVID situation in Shanghai, where everything shut down for 2 months. And we actually, like, our biggest team are actually in Shanghai. So for the last 2 months, they were at home. And the only time that they can get out of the house is to go downstairs to get a COVID test every single day. So actually, I did ask my colleague who's kind of taking care of the logistics. So he kind of gave me some quick numbers and said, yes, things are slowing down because of that as well. But just in the last 2 months, because we ship a batch every week when there isn't a holiday, because you guys all know that there are a lot of holidays in China. So we ship a batch every week when there isn't a holiday, and in the last 2 months or so, I think we shipped from batch 45 to batch 54, and altogether that's a little bit over 100,000 miners. The speed is not as fast as we would have desired, but that's the best we could do with all the situation, because once the city is shut down, nobody can go out, nobody can come in. So with the supply chain and suppliers, we just have to wait. But then there are some other things that we're trying to do to kind of make it better, because once the coming in and going out slow down, then you kind of have to see, okay, then how do you get things to the customer? So they actually have set up 3 more like overseas, I would say, like warehouses stops. So one is in the US, and this is the one we're going to work with the 5G shipping location. And then another one is in Germany. And then I think the third one is in Hong Kong. So they're basically trying to kind of open up a few more locations to kind of make logistics go a little bit better while this COVID thing is still happening.
Yeah, maybe to add to that, like DJ was explaining, so the LoRa part of the hotspots requires very precise components because of the long range and the sensitivity it offers. So some of those parts, you don't have many options. You have like 3 suppliers of those parts. And an interesting thing was when Helium was kind of ramping up, there was like a major fire in one of the factories of this component, which really caused a global shortage of this timing chip. The situation was quite complex, and sourcing these parts was extremely difficult. It's getting a little better now, but as well as COVID, we are seeing a lot of other problems in the supply chain, like factories not starting up as soon as we all wanted. But yeah, it's improving though. Yeah, so it's good.
So outside of like the component shortages, has there been any other challenges that have been really significant to your teams? Is that really kind of the overall?
Well, I would say, so that's like one of the areas that we're always working on. And the first one I would say is customer support. Because many makers that really had an IoT background before didn't really know how to serve retail customers. It's not like we're selling pajamas and you know how to like work with customers. You just kind of give it to an enterprise and here you go, you figure out the rest and that's it, pretty much. But then this is kind of like, it kind of just launched us into the world and where we're like, oh, we need to handle customers after we sell it. And it was really a first. And now that it's a little bit unthinkable to me where like you just ask the customer to send you an email and that's it, because now we have a ticket support portal where you send in a ticket, and then if people come to Discord or come to Twitter and say, hey, you know, how come nobody answers, our first question is always, what is your order, what is your ticket number? Because once you have a ticket number, then you go into the Zendesk system, and if our tier 1 support can't answer that question, then it's escalated into Jira for tier 2 support. So that's an ongoing challenge, but I think like over the last year, that's one of the areas that we really, really worked on, because I think this idea has been drilled into our head that once you sell it, that's kind of the starting line. That's not the finish line. You need to take care of the customer, and then the customer's feedback is how you grow the product. So other than customer support, we also want to improve the product. And when we talk about the product, it's not just the hardware. It's very important to kind of make sure, you know, the diagnoser or the app or whatever is coming next, it's a whole piece together. And there's really a lot more that we can work on now that we have so many customers that have trusted us with our money, really. So we want to make sure with the Bobber app, we can really make it worth people's while to, you know, it's just hardware, but now what's the next step? What can I do? So.
On top of the supply chain situations and, you know, always looking to improve customer support and get that healthy feedback, which is good for new product development and solution development. I think the other piece to really helping to scale the network and scale users on the network is being able to bundle and put together various solutions in kind of what I call plug and play fashion, which Freedom 5's done a good job of that with the CBRS solutions. But really, you know, as a consumer, which even a business customer is a consumer, you got to be able to open that box and you've got to be able to look at all those devices, scan QR codes, easily set it up, and just go off to the races with data, because that's what it's about, right? So, you know, I think the other piece to unlocking this is, you know, being able to bundle various solutions together, drive end node deployment on the network, and we're starting to see that now, you know, with the incorporation of CBRS and then moving into Wi-Fi after this. It really starts to integrate all these different technologies. You've got LoRa, you've got CBRS, you've got Wi-Fi, right? And so as you think about the complexity that's involved with having to integrate those, it becomes extra critical to ensure that when you're providing these solutions to somebody that may have 2 Wi-Fi sensors or 2 LoRa sensors and maybe a couple CBRS cameras, how do you integrate that all together into one seamless approach for the customers?
Yeah. So this is a little bit more of a fun question, but do any of your teams have anything you can share or want to talk about that you're excited or looking forward to for like the next year on the Helium Network? Anything just like, whether it's actually part of a project or if it's just something you're personally excited about?
Well, I mean, we are working on several products right now. We are launching the Minted app on Monday, so that's coming already. We do feel there's a need also for remote diagnostics. I mean, that's our most requested feature. We are listening hard to that, and we'll be launching that later this month as well. And we are quite excited to be able to port some of our hotspots, so the Minted hotspots, to a 5G stack. That's something we're also working on by connecting a small cell radio. So we have some good excitements, but I'm more excited about the IoT side and seeing adoption of the LoRa ecosystem and creating sensors basically. But so we want to collaborate with makers and help make that true.
Yeah, to mimic that, I mean, I think that's the exciting part, right? Is we're starting to see this here at the Helium House, a lot of new solutions providers coming to the table with end devices and full stack solutions that leverage the Helium network that also solve real world use cases. And I think we'll continue to see those expand into next year. And as those expand, it will allow us all to be able to deploy, more application-specific solutions on the Helium network, which I think will be really exciting.
So for us, maybe one of the things that's kind of like the fun thing, we want to build on the community a little bit. We do have a Discord. Right now, our Discord has about 50,000 users. It's an official Discord, but really it's kind of community driven. And recently we started doing some experiments with levels. So right now we have 25 levels. So once you join, you're level 0, but as soon as you start talking, you're level 1, and level 1 is called a bobber. And then from level 1 to 25, I think level 25 is cosmic bobber. So basically you're gonna have, it's very interesting. The more you talk, the more sort of a recognized face you are in the community. So basically from like bronze to silver to gold to platinum and diamond. And we're trying to figure out, like, this is the way to kind of engage everybody a little bit more, and then figure out, okay, with this, I think the point is to make it inclusive rather than exclusive. So once you level up, how do we kind of give some perks without making it become an exclusive club? I think that's the thing that we're trying to figure out. And also just wanted to say, like, the community has been like really supportive and great, and like some people such as Omo, we probably all know, like, are like Mother Teresa. He's like Mother Teresa. He's like so patient with like all of the questions. So I think this is where we want to say, okay, so people who are engaging so much and so often, how do we thank them? How do we reward them? And just, and then keep them engaging with everybody else in Discord.
That's really fun. So people, if you're looking for an achievement to unlock, go to the Bobber server to start interacting. So is there anything that we covered that, you guys didn't get a chance to share that kind of want to share with the community?
Yeah, maybe. So on the IoT side, so we feel that there's a need for improving the sensors and kind of helping customers onboard those sensors. Currently, it's super easy to onboard the hotspot, for example, but to onboard the sensor is not as easy. And we think that people would use more sensors if it was just easier. Like, because they have the hotspot at home, the ecosystem is fully open and decentralized, so they don't need to take any contract. And if that part was easier, I think it will improve things. We are going to work on that. I also see some potential for things like data DAOs and kind of integrating data with NFTs, probably. There are some companies now looking into adopting NFTs as kind of proof that a customer has like saved water, things like that. So that opens a whole ecosystem around the NFTs, and then maybe customers can get discounts if they have that NFT in their wallet, things like that. So I'm really excited by those applications, and that will be my focus for the next year. And hopefully get this all on board on the Helium network.
I think one of the challenges in the space that we want to look to improve on here at CalChip is allowing our customers the ability to be able to come to the store, look at all these different Helium devices from different manufacturers, because we are a distributor. We don't build our own product. We don't manufacture our own product. So it gives us the ability to work with anybody in the ecosystem. And what I think we really need to strive to do is to build a portfolio of products and solutions across the ecosystem, but a place where people can come, purchase them, get them quickly to start their testing so they don't lose their budgets. I've seen that happen a lot where, people are trying to build things, they can't get the product in time, and they lose budget, right? And then projects fail. So, I think, and that's more of a general systemic challenge. It's not just related to the Helium ecosystem, it's across the board. But I think these are some of the higher level challenges that we need to look to pursue and solve together.
I know we probably haven't, this is not the thank you part yet, but since you did say anything specific, I hope this is okay. Of course, we have a lot of gratitude and appreciation for the Helium ecosystem, for all of our customers, because we are who we are today because of our customers and the entire ecosystem. But if it's okay, I do really want to use this opportunity to give a shout out to our team, especially to the customer support folks, the tier ones in China. And we can and we should and we need to do a better job. We started from minus 100, and so we need to constantly improve. But I do want to thank the team, because this is a learning process, and we're not giving up. We're not giving up, and we're still trying to learn as we progress with the community together. And also wanted to give a shout out to the team here in the U.S. and North America in general, because half the team are from the community. So wanted to say thank you so much for giving us this trust. And I think we're very grateful, and there's a lot of gratitude, because this doesn't just happen all the time, and it's not something that we take for granted. Yeah, of course, you come here, we'll give you a job, and that's it. It's a lot more than that, and it just doesn't happen that often. So we just feel we're very fortunate. So I wanted to give a shout out.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that. Now, Jizzy, did you have something you want to?
Are we ending now? Or?
I think we're pretty much done.
I do have a last thing. So I do have 2 kits, 2 Helium developer kits for anyone who wants to create kits. So to get it, just tweet RAKwireless, say I want to make Helium sensors, and then find me. So the first 2 will get.
Everybody run. All right, thank you very much. No, did you?
Okay,
go ahead.
So I'd like to thank the community. I'd like to also thank Helium, the Helium Foundation, Nova Labs for putting us on. What's really, really cool about the Helium community is it's bringing together a lot of people with very innovative minds and really cool ideas. And I think that's very unique compared to what's going on in the IoT space elsewhere. So keep it up, keep bringing the ideas, keep bringing the ingenuity, and let's go build this thing together.
Yeah, great way to end it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.